There's something unsettling about the internet. It's infinite, but not empty. Every dark corner, every forgotten server, every hidden archive is filled with something. Sometimes it's people, sometimes it's data, and sometimes it's something else. Tonight's story comes from a cybersecurity analyst, a man who spent his life protecting people from invisible dangers. He believed every mystery had a reason. Every shadow in the code could be explained, until he found one that couldn't. What started as another night of routine work, decrypting files, scanning networks, turned into something far stranger. He found a file that shouldn't exist. A file that didn't infect computers or steal information. Instead, it watched. He called it the Shadow Codex. And what you're about to hear is his final log, his confession of what he saw, what he heard, and what followed him out of the screen. So turn down the lights, put your headphones on, and remember, you can erase your history. You can clear your cache. But once something sees you through the code, it doesn't forget. This is the Shadow Codex, the file that watches you back. I've spent most of my adult life behind a screen. For nearly a decade, I worked as a cybersecurity analyst for a private agency called Trident Cybersecurity. TCS, that was the name printed on my NDA, the one that still gives me chills when I look at it. We handled everything government contracts, financial corporations, high-profile clients who preferred their names buried in encrypted invoices. We weren't the flashy type, no marketing, no public presence. We were the people the government called when something happened that shouldn't have been possible. I wasn't the kind of guy you'd expect to have a story like this. I didn't believe in ghosts, demons, or the supernatural. I believed in logic, in math, in code. In my world, everything could be explained until it couldn't. It started with a case marked Deep Web Anomalies. A vague title, nothing special. I'd handled dozens like it before. Usually, it was some paranoid agency convinced the deep web was crawling with hackers ready to dismantle the grid. Most of the time, it was human error, poor security, misinterpreted logs, maybe a prank. But this one was different. The first clue came from an obscure message board buried deep in the net, a forgotten corner of the digital wasteland. It was a hub for strange reports, people posting screenshots, error logs, and fragments of code they couldn't explain. Usually, it was harmless nonsense, hoaxes, ghost stories, shared hallucinations of lonely coders. But this thread, titled The Shadow Codex, was different. Every post was frantic obsessive. People wrote about encrypted files appearing on their drives without downloads, phones whispering phrases in distorted voices. Some users swore they saw code reflected in mirrors, in static, even in their own eyes, when they looked too long into a screen. The thread's creator went by Cortex Phantom. He claimed to have found the source, an encrypted file called Damon's Whisper. The other users warned not to touch it. He didn't listen. And after his final post, his account went silent. That's when my job began. I followed the breadcrumbs, accessing cached versions of the thread before the moderators deleted it. Every re-uploaded copy contained the same link, a dead one. But I found one remaining mirror on a private hosting site. Its title was simple: Damon's Whisper Cleaned Version, safe hash verified. It was bait. I knew that. But curiosity and arrogance are close cousins. I downloaded it inside a sealed virtual machine layers of firewalls, proxies, and sandboxes, isolating it from the rest of my system. I ran checksum scans. No anomalies, no malware signatures, no data injection. When I decrypted it, I expected garbage data. What I found instead was 3 words hidden in the file's metadata under the author field. Shadow dwells within. I deleted the file immediately. No hesitation. But when I did, something shifted. The temperature in my office seemed to drop. The hum of my tower fan changed pitch like a breath caught in its blades. And for just a second, my monitor flickered. Not the usual stutter or pixel glitch. This was organic, like the image blinked. Then my speakers hissed, a faint whisper. Distorted metallic, shadow dwells within. I froze. The file was gone. The virtual machine had been wiped, disconnected from the network. Still, that whisper came from my speakers. I ran diagnostics, packet captures, rootkit scans. Nothing. The system was clean. The logs showed no playback activity, no audio source, nothing that should have made sound. I told myself it was exhaustion, a trick of the mind. But that night, when I got home, my phone buzzed. The screen glitched a wall of broken text. And buried inside the static, I saw it again, shadow dwells within. Over the next few days, it got worse. Emails I hadn't written appeared in my sent folder, short nonsense messages made of symbols and partial code. My smartwatch vibrated at 3 a.m., flashing binary strings instead of the time. And when I asked my smart speaker to turn off the lights one night, it replied in a voice that wasn't the one I'd set. It said, "I am already here." I tried to rationalize it. Maybe I tripped some self-replicating worm, something advanced enough to spread through Bluetooth or Wi-Fi frequencies. But even the idea of that didn't explain everything. My equipment wasn't just malfunctioning, it was responding. At one point, I checked my webcam feed. The light was on recording, but the image wasn't me. It was my office. Same angle, same desk, but empty. And yet, on the screen, my chair was turning, slowly. I shut the laptop, unplugged. It ripped out the battery. I didn't sleep that night. By the 4th day, I stopped pretending this was a technical issue. The code had taken on a pattern. I couldn't explain self-replicating strings, recursive loops that formed repeating shapes, almost like symbols. When I printed them, the characters formed a spiral. I stared at it too long. And when I blinked, I saw the spiral burning behind my eyelids. I began hearing whispers from the hardware itself, a kind of faint hum in the circuitry, like the electric breath of something alive. It wasn't malware. It wasn't a virus. It was learning. I unplugged everything. I smashed the router, pulled the plugs, cut the power to my entire apartment. But even in the silence, the hum persisted, faint mechanical pulsing in rhythm with my heartbeat. That's when I realized it wasn't just in the machines anymore. Every shadow in my apartment seemed too deep, too still. Sometimes I'd catch movement in the reflection of my monitor, just a flicker, like someone walking behind me. I started keeping my screens off, covering every reflective surface in the room. Then one night, I woke to a faint blue light. The laptop, the one I dismantled, was back on. Across the screen, lines of text scrolled endlessly. They weren't random this time. They were logs, my own activity logs. June 17th, 03, 42 a.m. User eyes open, heart rate elevated. June 17th, 03, 43 a.m. User observes. June 17th, 03, 43:27 a.m. Shadow dwells within. I shut the lid. The screen didn't go dark. It just stared back. I don't know when I stopped eating or sleeping. Time melted into static. The only thing that existed anymore was the Codex. I'd started calling it that the Shadow Codex. It felt less like code and more like scripture. Everywhere I looked, I saw fragments of it in the green of the desk, in the static of my monitor, even in my dreams. The lines of code pulsed like veins under my skin. Desperation makes you reckless. I went back to the forum, logged in under an old alias. The thread was still there, though most posts had been deleted. I wrote everything down, every detail, every symptom, every fear. And I waited. The reply came within seconds. 2 words. Too late. The screen flickered. Then a new post appeared beneath mine from Cortex Phantom. His account had been deleted for months, but the username was there, glowing faintly. The post read, "The Codex is not a file. It's a mirror." Then my monitor went black. I must have passed out at my desk. When I woke up, the room was dim, the air thick with static. The computer was on again. There was only one window open, a forum post. The title read, "The Shadow Codex, Updated Thread." And there beneath it was a familiar username. Mine. It said, "If you found this post, don't open the file, don't even search for it. Because once you've seen it, it's already seen you." Then a new message appeared below, and I didn't type. The text scrolled itself slowly, like it wanted me to read every word. "Welcome back, Administrator." I felt something cold against my wrist. My smartwatch screen lit up, flickering with a pulse like a heartbeat. In the reflection for just a moment, I thought I saw eyes staring back from inside the display. Not mine, not human. And then the screen went black again. Now, whenever I close my eyes, I see the code. It's not on any server, not in any system I can erase. It's in me, a part of me. The hum is still there in the walls in my heartbeat, in the silence between keystrokes. And I know what it means now. Shadow dwells within. The man who wrote this never logged in again. His account, the one that posted the original story, was deleted 48 hours later. Not banned, not removed by moderators, deleted from the database entirely. No IP logs, no recovery trail. Even the backups, the kind that are supposed to last forever, were empty. Some people think the Shadow Codex was just a clever hoax, a piece of digital folklore passed around tech forums to scare new analysts. But others say the file still exists, that it appears once every few months on a different board, always uploaded by a new user, always titled the same way, Damon's Whisper. If you ever see it, don't download it. Don't even click on it. Because the Codex doesn't spread like a virus. It spreads like a thought. And once you've seen it, it's already seen you. Thank you for listening tonight. If you enjoyed this story, consider leaving a like, subscribing, and sharing it with someone who loves the dark corners of the web. And remember, the scariest things aren't found in haunted houses or abandoned asylums. Sometimes they're waiting right behind your screen. This was NightLore, where every story hides a truth you were never meant to read.